So app service, this one will be definitely shorter. This is one of the actually core functionality in Azure which you might be hearing about or using, and that's this is actually a fully managed platform for building, deploying, scaling web applications. That's why you would often hear about that. It supports multiple programming languages and frameworks. It has also pretty extensive CI/CD and DevOps capabilities, and you can use it for you can use it for front end, you can use it for back end, you can use it for database. They have a bit different pricing because, for example, the static front end, whether it will be as of today Angular, React, Vue, JS, or simple HTML page. We are starting with free tier. For backend, the cost is quite high in comparison these days. If you have a backend app service, .NET, Node.js, maybe Python, it's tens of dollars per month. Database, it's also relatively cheap, single digits in terms of dollars per month. You can of course have, as I mentioned, web applications, but not only HTML, CSS, JavaScript or frameworks, not only static web applications, but also backend for the applications, like especially API services. So API services are service from which the front end is getting data from the backend, and databases like SQL database, Cosmos DB. If you can use it for web frontend, then you can also use it for mobile, for web front backend. I'm sorry, for also frontend. So if the backend for web can handle, then mobile for backend can be also used. Mobile for frontend, you cannot use app service. To let's make it clear. And you can also have the same APIs, whether it will be REST API, GraphQL API. You can have authentications, push notifications, data storage, everything you can have in this app service. And a bit extended scope, like business applications based on with some web interface such as ASP.NET, with Azure functions, with Azure Logic apps. Yes, all these things you can have. So the core part, which is handling the business logic, you can have it as an app service. And there are also scaling options, like for many in Azure, for many services in Azure, you can manually scale it, you can automatically scale it based on memory, schedule, or CPU based rules. That's what I want to know. In manual scaling, you choose instance size and the count. There is also custom scaling, but about webhooks, custom metrics, but for now it's too much. So let's try to open our Azure, and let's see how long this time it will take me to have it up and running. Yes. Okay. So let me, maybe I don't find it here. Maybe I can try it here this time. And this is one of the core services, so it's already there. I take app services. I don't have any, so I have to create. Let's create. So there are many options. For example, if I create a WordPress on app service, you can see I have to select subscription, region, then admin email, user and password, which you can log in with WordPress. So you can have a WordPress, web app plus database, also the same. I need to select subscription, resource group, but here it's a little bit different because I have the database. Then I create I will select a static web app. This is a little bit simplified. I can, for example, deploy straight away from GitHub or Azure DevOps. So this is very interesting. Here you can see also, for example, I have one of my projects which is deploying based on GitHub. So every time I make some change on GitHub, it's automatically deploying. So that's the built-in CI/CD. But let me create for this demo web app. I create, select my resource group. I set web app. I want a code. If I select container, I can select between Linux and Windows. Yes. This is a bit slow today, so you can see the regions are popping up. Then the plans. Let's try with a code. Runtime. So this will be a backend technologies: .NET, Java, Node.js, PHP, Python. So you have seen that we could use WordPress because PHP is supported. WordPress based on PHP. Python is also option. Node.js, Java, ASP.NET. So .NET. I'm sorry, ASP.NET. I feel most comfortable with Node.js. I'm JavaScript developer, so I pick this. Linux. Let's just leave it by default. Here I can also select a couple of things. I just leave it default. Now I go to database. I don't want database, but if I would want to create, I can select what type of engine do I want to have. It can be SQL, Azure, PostgreSQL, MySQL, and Cosmos DB. If I play with this, everything is kind of similar. You can see there must be server name and database name. I skip it. Deployment. So for example, my project has this enabled, so you have my side project. So then on every GitHub change, I can automatically deploying. Here I don't do that. It will be too long, and I want to make the video shorter. I go to networking. This is important, so we can, during the demo, I will be able to show you that it works. We leave it default. Yes, this step took a little bit longer. We can enable API signs or disable. This time I will disable this to keep it simple. But application size is like kind of like Google Analytics, where you can see how many people have seen your page. This we can enable, disable. I leave it like this. Tags we skip. And then we have a little problem. Web app detect ref. This should go through. Let's see again. Yeah, and here I got the estimated price, $13 USD per month. So it was a bit less than I said during presentation. Depends, very much depends by what to select here. Because for example, if I select premium, and now I create a review and create, then I expect a higher price, and let me see. Yeah, it will be a very high price, seeing how long it loads. It works or it does not. Let me see. Let me try to show you a different pricing tier, so it's a little bit faster. Well, it will be not faster, but I will just wait maybe 30 seconds. It should take much quicker, to be honest. There must be some problem on the Azure side. Then I think I will not show you. I will just pick a basic one. I will just try to take. There's just a free tier, by the way. But what you can see, there are also information for some of them, how much it would cost. So this one already has price set, and if I come here, I expect that the price will be popped up a bit quicker. And now we have it, $147. So this is very important step, the pricing plan. You need to be very much careful on that, because this can go very quickly. We can get big expenses. Let me create it. Yes, so the deployment has initialized, and now let's see if we have created this without any problem. Okay, we have deployment in progress. I think it will take a couple of minutes, maybe 1 or 2. So you can speed up the video a little bit. Okay, we have one step with status OK. And now we have everything okay, but the deployment is still showing in progress. Okay, and we made it. I can now go to resource, something which I can also find at home, because now if I go, for example, you could see in the recent, I will find it because I access this. But if you don't know, you can find in app service here or app service here, or you can click here, or you can search here. Anyways, when you enter app service, you can find it's there. And here there are a couple of many options. You don't need to know them all. You can go through some of them through settings. But for a basic course, I don't think so. We really need to know everything. But you can find there are many options. For example, there is app service plan. You can find it here. You can see that you can scale it up in terms of instances, scale in terms of plans. So this is important that you know there is. The other things would be more for a developer, not for a fundamental. So then we could go around a couple of the options, for example, in configuration. But I really leave it, if you want to know by yourself, to go through here. For in configuration, you could still try to play with a couple of options, but for fundamentals, you don't need to know. For fundamentals, you want to access here. What you need to know, that there is a resource group associated, that the status, location, that there must be subscription before you will be able to run it. The ID you don't need to know by heart, of course. Tags you could have, but it's okay. Here you have the networking part, the application insights also, and all the information. So here it's a bit like a shorter version. But what I want to click here and see if this one works. I will try something. I will try to make a configuration change, because I think we selected Linux. Yeah, so this is what I just found out, that when you select Linux, then there is no default welcome page. So I will quickly create a web app Windows, and now I will create again, or actually I will take the .NET one, Windows, and everything I skip here. I think also Azure is at the moment very slow. I think there is some problem going on. I'll click no here. When no Windows detect ref. Created. Okay, let's try with Windows. Because for the fundamentals, I don't want to overwhelm you. Then, because with this address I could create a deployment, and then okay, I need to retry it. I will need to retry it again. True. Oh yeah, this time out. Okay, I need to try it again. I will do it differently. I just selected now static web page. My name detect ref static. Let's see if there is some default page. Oh no, I need to sign with GitHub. Sorry for that. I have to create with normal web app. This here, detect ref web app premium, and now I create again .NET Windows, because when I was on Node, I think selected Linux. Yes, .NET Windows. It will give me my default it will give me a default default page because for Node.js there is not any. Pam, pam, and you will click create. Okay, looks good. Now everything we already talked about, but now let's try it. What I am most interested in is the websites. Yes, made it with problems. That is because, sorry for that. When we created a Linux-based machine, there was nothing, no default page, but with Windows we have default page. Honestly, Azure could improve it, but yeah, I could also know it. If I could dig into this while preparing this video. So our application web Azure service is up and running. You can access from the internet. This has this kind of long URL. So for a more advanced course, I will now create some kind of project and I will deploy it to show you that to use the CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment, and then you will see that this would change. But for fundamentals, you don't need to know it. It's just enough what you know, what you see now. You can also know that this is a very technical term, technical domain. In real world, you would create your own domain, and you would, let's say, map this technical domain to your normal domain, which you can do from Azure, and then instead of this long URL, you would have mydomain.com, something like this. You can also do this in Azure, and this is what you need to know. So to wrap this up, app service perfect for web applications, also APIs, whether it's a API for front-end web or for mobile apps. As you could see, it supports multiple programming languages and frameworks. There is built-in CI/CD integrations. What you have seen that we could have GitHub or Azure DevOps capabilities. In multiple programming language, we have seen PHP, whether with WordPress or without. We have seen Node. We have seen .NET. We have seen Python, Java are the options as of today. There is automatic scaling on demand, free tiers available for deployment testing, and you can easily integrate with ecosystem for databases and services. Databases, we have seen that we can do that while creating the web app. Now what I will quickly do, I will just delete this one. Also while recording video, so you know that you have to it's very important to keep track of your resources, because they can be used, and I don't want to be charged I don't know, 100 something euros per month. You can already skip the video if you don't want to look how I delete the resources, but that's always a good reminder I find, so I'll be doing this on the videos. Okay, one was successful. When I go to app service, I have, I think, one more. So I also click delete here. As you can see here, the delete is a little bit different. I had to click delete, while inside I had to rewrite the name. Okay, and now I don't have any. If I refresh this page, there is nothing. But if I refresh this page, it cannot be reached. And this also changed, it cannot be reached. Before we had a timeout, so it has been trying to resolve something, right? So that's the difference when you delete resource. And now we'll be back here, but in the next exercise, when in the next video I'll be talking about and also showing Azure functions. See you there.